This is City Manager Bill Osborne, and welcome to another edition of On the Agenda. Thank you for joining me. More than a decade ago, in fact, shortly after Mickey Thompson was elected to his first term as mayor of the city of Douglasville, I received a telephone call from a gentleman who had been doing consultant work for the city of Douglasville at that time by almost 20 years. His name was Brian Cleveland. And his consulting firm back in, the mid-1970s had done a land use plan for the city of Douglasville. And ironically, my first time to come to Douglasville was back in the mid-1980s when I had a subcontract with Brian Cleveland Associates with my one-man consultant firm to work with them on a project on the city's north side in Community Development Block Grant. Anyway, Brian called me and said he needed to talk with Mayor-elect Thompson and myself about a new federal program that would provide some financial benefits in and around the downtown area that he thought we would be interested in learning more about. And so Mayor-elect Thompson and I met with Brian, and he told us about a new program. Had a long name, the Activity Center Town Center Investment Policy Study Program. Well, the basic idea of this program back in 1999, and it still is the case today, was to improve an area by linking transportation with land use, be it in the downtown area, a town center, an activity center, or along a corridor. Well, the city of Douglasville was one of the first local governments to pursue this new program. In fact, on December the 6th, 1999, Mayor-elect Thompson, then in his position on the City Council as chairman of the Community and Economic Development Committee, made a motion for the mayor to sign an agreement with Brian Cleveland Associates to prepare an application that we would submit to the Atlanta Regional Commission for an Activity Center, Town Center Investment Policy Studies, ACTIPS, program planning grant. And in January of 2000, the City Council authorized new Mayor Thompson to actually sign and submit to ARC the completed application written by Brian Cleveland Associates. And a short time later, ARC notified the city that we were one of the first local governments in the metro area to receive an ACTIPS planning grant. Now, I'm sure that neither the acronym ACTIPS nor this long name that I've given you, the Activity Center, Town Center Investment Policy Studies Program, really rings a bell with you. And that's understandable because, frankly, 3 months later, when the city authorized the mayor to sign an agreement with ARC to accept this planning grant, the name had changed, and by this point it was known as the Livable Centers Initiative, which some of you I know are familiar with. More of you probably are familiar with it just by its initials, LCI. Well, after receiving this planning grant, the city immediately sought qualified consulting firms to prepare the Livable Centers Initiative, LCI plan for the city of Douglasville, and on July the 17th, 2000, the City Council voted to select the firm of Arcadis, Garrity, and Miller to assist Douglasville in preparing its LCI program. And let me finally point out that on May the 21st, 2001, the city adopted the study, the program, the plan prepared by Arcadis, and that basically provided the blueprint that we followed for the past decade in implementing our Livable Centers Initiative program in the downtown area. Now, with that background, let me note that this edition of On the Agenda will include a couple of guests. City Planning Director Michelle Wright, and I'll talk with her about what's taken place in the past 10 years as we have sought to implement our original LCI plan. And then I'll talk with Adam Williamson of the consulting firm of Tunnell-Spangler-Walsh and Associates, TSW, that was selected a few months ago by the City Council to work with us on an update of our former plan that we've implemented. So at this time, though, I'd like to welcome to On the Agenda Michelle Wright, City Planning Director. Glad to have you with me today, Michelle.
Thank you, Bill. I'm glad to be here.
Right. Well, Michelle, you've been a city employee for about 16 years, and during that time, you've seen a lot of change in the city, including in and around the downtown area. And what we plan to do today is talk about some changes that basically have been precipitated because the city was designated to receive a Livable Centers Initiative LCI grant. And of course, that identification as an LCI community really enabled us to receive other grants and to be in a better position with ARC and the Georgia Department of Transportation, GDOT, to receive grant funds. And most of these grants were for about 80% of the project costs, which meant the city had to come up with somewhere around 20% or a little more of the local match, and virtually all of that came from our special purpose local option sales tax, a SPLOSH program from 2002. But let's start just by identifying for us the geographic boundaries for the what we've had is the Livable Centers Initiative target area for the past decade.
The Livable Centers Initiative target area is mainly in the downtown area. It's located north of I-20, and it's south of Bankhead Highway. However, it goes a little bit further north of Bankhead Highway, and it's in and around the Rose Avenue area and Fairburn Road.
Okay. And as you said, it does include the Central Business District, and within the boundaries that you've outlined, that we have encouraged to be the start of a live, work, play part of Douglasville. And this, of course, is an ongoing process for us, as it is for any community, which is why ARC some months ago told all of the LCI communities that at the end of 10 years, they would need to update their LCI program, look ahead for another 10 years, and because Douglasville was among the first 10 communities in the metro area to receive the LCI planning money. In fact, I believe we were the first community in metro Atlanta to get money to proceed with the implementation stage. So now we're among the first that are engaged in doing the 10-year update. Now, today we'll have not a lot of time to talk about what's gone on over the past 10 years, but I know that you've been working with TSW as they have moved to plan for the next 10 years, but in doing that, they've looked back for the past 10 years. Talk to us a little bit about some of the key projects that we've had in the last 10 years.
The 2001 LCI study identified 139 projects and action items. 47 projects have been completed to this date. Some of these projects have been sidewalks in the downtown area, such as Church Street, Broad, Strickland, Adair, Duncan, and James Streets. We've also redone the plaza, the O'Neill Plaza reconstruction, including lighting, electrical, pavers, landscaping, and planting. And then we've done some intersection improvements on Campbellton Roads and Bankhead Highway.
Right. Now, over the years, of course, you've done a lot on transportation planning for the city. And of course, virtually any transportation project that we have that involves money from GDOT or money that we get from ARC requires the local government to provide some matching money. I checked with our finance department recently, and they said as a result of the LCI designation that they could account for us having received a little over $2.1 million in transportation funds for projects within this target area. And then local match that we put with that was about $637,000. So I believe that's pretty good financial investment, good return on our investment. So the total expenditure has been more than $2,750,000 in transportation funds within the target area. And you mentioned a minute ago some of the sidewalks, the streetscapes, lighting, intersection work, but all of this certainly improves our downtown area. Any particular things that come to mind about any of these projects?
Well, I think they are all been good projects. I think they've brought money to the downtown area. They've done a lot of improvements, and it's really been an asset to the downtown area to be able to get this kind of money and put these projects in place.
Right. And we know that we're looking ahead, of course, to what will happen in the future. As we wrap up this first part of our program today, Michelle, any final thoughts you want to share with us about LCI or downtown or the work that you've been involved in this process over the past decade?
I think the LCI program's been a great program. It's been a great program for Douglasville, and I hope it can continue, and it's brought a lot of improvements to the downtown area.
Right. You know, the LCI designation, as I mentioned, both for us or for other communities in the metro area, does enhance the likelihood that you're able to get these grants, because a lot of communities out there are seeking funds to do just what you talked about, making improvements in the downtown area with sidewalks, safety projects, lighting, and things of this nature. And I believe that certainly had we not had the LCI designation, we probably would not have received some other grants that we haven't counted those dollars in the program today, what we call the T grant, Transportation Enhancement Grants, that have certainly helped with street lighting. Some of those projects still going on Camilton Street, Dallas Highway, and I'm delighted that we were able to get that grant when we did for downtown, because it came at a crucial time, as you and I know, that because we've been working for a number of years on looking at the Highway 92 relocation, and that's getting very close to becoming a reality. But in a sense, for downtown, that's somewhat of a mixed blessing. It's great that we are going to be able to take traffic away from downtown because of the congestion. Well, we will have a railroad underpass at long last. It will be to the east of the old mill. That will mean we won't have the dangerous grade level crossing in the downtown area. We are looking for how traffic will come across at McCarley Street, but all of that we have been able to, I think, have enhanced because we were an LCI community. But the other part of that, of course, is that there won't be the traffic downtown that we have had, and that's a new challenge to the downtown merchants in order, what do we do to attract people to come downtown? And of course the LCI, with looking at the streetscapes, the sidewalks, lighting and banners, and a lot of those kinds of things which will enhance people to come downtown, in much the same way that a new project that we have that we're looking forward to starting soon, and that's the new downtown conference center, because we feel part of our Livable Centers initiative downtown, not only with transportation, but with the new downtown conference center will provide us an attraction to bring people downtown, and so all of this really just kind of ties together. I appreciate you being here today to talk about some of this. And I would say to our audience, I hope you will stick with me. When we come back in a minute, I'll be talking with one of the consultants from TSW that's working with us on looking ahead for the next 10 years with our LCI program. Hope you will stay tuned. This time I would like to welcome Adam Williamson on the agenda. Mr. Williamson is a principal with TSW and was project director for the 10-year update of the City of Douglasville's Livable Centers Initiative plan. Adam, welcome to On the Agenda.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Well, as you know, during the first part of our program today, I talked with Michelle Wright, City Planning Director, about the first decade of our Livable Centers Initiative program. In other words, where we've been. Now I want us to talk about where we go from here. And you know, the city's elected officials, when they met with you and your team, reviewed the proposal, we felt like that TSW and your team really was superior to the other proposals we received, and so we did sign an agreement with you to look ahead, to plan the future for our city's LCI program. Your other team members, of course, being Croy Engineering and Marketech. Briefly, tell our audience what your overall mission was once we said we want to contract with you, and tell us briefly about all three members of your team.
Okay, I'll start out with our team. We were the lead consultant TSW. We also had Croy Engineering, who was concentrating on the transportation piece of it. And then we had Marketech, who was concentrating on the economic market analysis part of it, which wasn't really done previously in 2000. What we were looking at is the update of the LCI program, which is really a link of land use and transportation. And we really broke it out in 4 parts. We looked at the existing plan and did an assessment. And then we also we had the market analysis was another component. And then we did a concept plan update, which really is the emphasis on multimodal and how to get people to your downtown. And also in the 4th part is implementation, which is really a long list of projects that you guys had from the previous LCI study.
Right. And of course, the city has had Croy Engineering to work on a number of transportation projects for us. I know Ellen and Matthews with Marketech's been around a long time, because when I was back doing some consultant work more than 25 years ago, we did some work together. TSW has been around for some period of time and has had a lot of success. Tell us a little bit about 2 or 3 of the key projects that TSW has done in the last few years that would be particularly of interest to our viewers as we consider our LCI program.
We've done over 25 LCIs in our history, and some of the projects that we're proud of, one in particular is Woodstock, which I think is very similar to Douglasville. And you know, we didn't actually do the LCI, but we implemented it afterwards, and we're part of the LCI study. And one of the biggest things I think is the town quadrupled in size as far as square footage. They got the mixed use vertical integration. They had a lot of new residents downtown. And what they also have been doing a lot of is really promoting their downtown. And like what we've talked about with Douglasville, with a farmer's market, and they have concerts. And I just received an email today promoting what they're having this weekend, so they do a great job. Another project is Hateville, which I think has been in the news recently. They just landed the Porsche headquarters. That's been a very successful project. And also Douglasville, Doraville, we just completed last month. And that was another big project because of the GM plant site. And we really were able to create a vision for the city, and all the public backed it, and we built consensus. So that's another project that we're proud of that relates well.
Right. And that experience of TSW is one reason that, of course, we wanted to select you to work with us on the update of our plan. Of course, you were back, you were here in Douglasville twice back in the spring, making presentations to our elected officials, having discussions with them. And of course, now we have had the final meeting on our update. And while we can't go into as much detail in this program as we had on your previous trips to Douglasville, just talk to us for a few minutes. Give us, I guess, an abbreviated version of what you've covered with the elected officials and the final public hearing.
Right. When we looked at Douglasville, we looked at character areas, and we broke it out into mixed-use areas, corridors, and residential areas. And your mixed-use areas are downtown, the Mill Village, Douglas Place, and Highway 5, while your corridors are Fairburn Road and the new Highway 92 corridor. And then you have your historic residential areas. I think one of the most important things is the Dallas Highway. When we looked at that, you know, when it's reconfigured, it becomes not a state highway, it becomes a local street. And it can have a big impact on your downtown and really be an extension of your downtown. So we did some concept plans to show what that could be in the future. And we think that's one of the biggest needs in the next 10 years is to address that. We think a lot of development could go there and really be a great asset for your community. The Highway 5 in the Rose Avenue area is a greenfield. There's nothing currently there, but what we looked at there was to be more like a Vinings Jubilee or a Vickery Village in Forsyth County. You know, this is commercial with good scale, walkable, and also there's a creek that runs through the site that we really want to preserve, and then have great connectivity to the park to the north and adjacent sites. As far as our environmental policies, we really want to promote environmental sound development patterns. We want to create bioswales and promote the natural waterways, and also promote local food production, because we've talked about maybe having more of a market downtown on the weekends. Right. As far as our transportation policies, we're promoting complete streets, and complete streets are streets that have parallel parking, they have bike lanes, and they have walkable sidewalks with tree-lined streets. So that's an important approach. And we also believe in connectivity, not only multi-use, but also your streets, and minimize dead-end cul-de-sacs in your future developments.
Right. And of course, one of the key things from the first 10 years of our LCI was an emphasis on transportation, and we were fortunate to get a good bit of money from GDOT for some projects because we had the LCIs. So excited about what may take place in the future with transportation as well as the other areas you're covering.
Right, and we'll be promoting in the transportation piece more multi-use, bike paths, bike lanes, and really support your existing bike plan, and just basic urban design elements that we think are important. And Dallas Highway reconfiguration, again, is one of the most important projects, I think, in the future. So we do have a number of projects, a long list of projects which you guys have been very successful at the last 10 years. We really just want to piggyback on that and continue that momentum. And as far as the market piece, you know, this was looked at 10 years, and what came back interesting, even with the economic impact that we've had, we still have a lot of for sale units, 774 units, and rental products of 454 units in the next 10 years. So there's definitely some growth ahead for Douglasville. And then it also had 286,000 square foot of commercial proposed in the future. So those are big numbers for Douglasville to think about. And as far as urban design, you know, we really wanted to create good urban design standards. You need architectural standards, and maybe even a new code where you can allow some of the development that we're talking about, bringing the buildings up to the street, and creating a walkable environment to make the downtown. It's a great town already, but we're trying to make it better. And so those are some of the recommendations that we've made. A lot of them also is preserve the historic districts and the buildings. Think about crime prevention in the in planning and also continue projects like your Alloway project, which is a great project, and I really think that's going to help your downtown. As far as public facilities, you know, one of the new things that wasn't covered back in 2000 is the demographics and the age shift and how our communities are getting older. So what we want to do is create adult daycare centers, child care centers, and in-home nursing care providers, and think about how we're going to get people to those places as the population ages. And one of the biggest things I believe for Douglasville is to really encourage appropriate park space, not just any park space, but really high level park space, and also improve your existing parks. And I think that really attract people, and also integrate the food systems and urban agriculture to support the market that we've talked about.
Right. So, well, I know that TSW has done a lot of work on this, and you mentioned the number of projects that we had completed during the first 10 years. And as Ms. Wright and I were talking about earlier in this program, we have had a large number of projects completed, but we're looking ahead this next decade with what TSW is outlining for us to give us some new challenges that will move us along. And we appreciate what TSW is doing, and you know, and we're able to look at what you've done elsewhere, and that gives us some good ideas as to how things will look as we move forward with the implementation. And so we're excited about where we're headed. Always give my guests an opportunity for a final word. So any final word to the businesses, the citizens of Douglasville, as you look at what TSW, your team, has done over the past weeks, and now the plan that you've presented to us, as to any final advice you have for us.
Well, we've enjoyed working here, and we appreciate the opportunity. I think that when I look at Douglasville, you guys are successful, and continue doing what you've been doing. And our point of view, and my point of view, is that I think two things that City of Douglasville needs to concentrate on is improving the park space, and also adding more park spaces throughout the community, and also concentrating on Highway 92 and creating a gateway into the city. But again, I think you guys have implemented many projects, and I think you'll be implementing many more projects in the next 10 years.
Right. Adam, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you,
and
Bill.
You're always welcome in Douglasville. To our viewers, thank you for joining us for this edition of On the Agenda. And over the next months, you will be hearing more and more about how we move forward to implement recommendations, projects that have been presented to us for the next 10 years of the Livable Centers Initiative. This is Bill Osborne, City Manager, signing off. Have a great day.